a bit younger than that.
I started this straight out of school.
So, yeah. But this is very, very different banking at Bendigo to having worked for the majors as well. That there's just that customer factor there that we look after. We realise what it does and what it builds. And
yeah, well, we had the same sort of life at the State Bank. You sort of build relationships with the customers. Income's more. Cooch has cut at the backward point for no run. She's called over. Moore now has off his 9 overs, 1 for 24, and the score is 192 for 5.
yeah, and it's a diversity we get with this too. Like today we're at the cricket. Last week I was at Elderly Citizens luncheon that they needed some money for to put on for a local resident that was turning 103, so we helped out with that. And then Thursday night you're with a primary school, and so it's varied and wide what we actually get involved in. It's just not the sport as well. It's anything, any community group that we can help out.
Like I said, that's why you're known as the community bank.
Yeah.
You feel part of what's going on.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just not an individual community group, and it probably harps back to what Bernie was saying before about partnerships. And we've had a really good partnership the last 2 years with Warrington Shire and the Youth Services team, where we've sponsored 40 Year 10 students to go on a leadership camp at Portsea, so across the peninsula. But the idea was we didn't pick kids that were already identified as leaders.
Yep.
It was kids that haven't had the opportunity to do that sort of thing. Yep. So it's really wide and varied what we do sponsor. But all the funds are going to something that's helping the peninsula and our community. Yeah.
No, it's fantastic what the Bendigo Bank does all over Victoria, basically.
Oh, it's $183 million Australia-wide so far. Community banking's put back into Australian communities, so it's a lot of money for a little community group.
Very nicely turned by Darryl Brown down the final leg for 1.
Here's your guest commentator back, so I'll say thank you for the opportunity to have a chat.
No, I think it's fantastic. I think if I might be correct, it's part of the Bank of Adelaide, or what used to be
Adelaide Bank. Yeah,
Adelaide Bank, yeah.
Bendigo purchased part of Adelaide Bank a few years ago, so Adelaide comes into it.
Yeah.
But really, we're BALNARRING Community Bank branch of the Bendigo Bank, and that's what we look at. And that's what we look after.
Well, it's been good talking to you, Greg.
All right, nice to meet you.
Find a bit more insight of what's happening down here.
That's it. Enjoy the rest of the day, and I can't wait till this is open and up and running fully in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Great. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Rob.
All the
no
best.
worries. Ta.
As Bernie, he's dragged himself away from the afternoon tea. He's bringing himself back in. Mel Cooch has pats it out to the cover. Bit of a sedate start going on here. Just the one off. Fisk now has 1 for 27. Sorry, a little bit early. 1 ball to go. Oh, a bit of a full bunger there. Took Mel by surprise. He's looking around at the square leg umpire, but Mel, I can tell you now, it was well below your waist.
Yeah, there's been a couple a lot worse than that.
Yeah, I think Mel was just more surprised than anything else, trying to con the umpire into saying, well, that's a bayside full toss. But it wasn't.
Yeah, it's good to see Greg down here. We just gave him a bit of a tour through. He hasn't really seen it since it's been up and running, and pleasantly just surprised he was.
No, it's always nice to see people like that come down.
Yeah.
And give you a bit of an insight of what they're actually doing in the community themselves and what sort of area they're sort of covering. And it's quite a vast area he's got. We've got more coming in for the bush end. Right arm over to Brown, who just almost comes to attention and just belts it down the ground for none.
Yeah, the other person that helped us out a lot from the Bendigo Bank is Heather Goddard, who's the president of the board down there.
Yep.
She was a primary school teacher, teach both of my boys. So she's a real community-minded person. And
oh, he's just been put down at short fine leg there. Bit of a lazy shot. Probably even a lazier attempt by the fieldsman, who's not happy. He's kicked his hat all over the place. But Brown picks up 1, takes the score to 194. Moore's thinking, I've done the right thing. I dropped it short outside the leg stump. Should have had a catch, but didn't. Cooch drives. It's well fielded by Pace is taken off by Plunkett at short cover, backed up by his fieldsman there for mid-off for no run. Just a few more scores. Pines are now moved along to 4 for 94. Chalky's out for 35. Murray-Ducks 4 for 111. That's those two scores. Cooch has driven down the ground nicely. There's one. Brown's taken the wide arc. And they've come comfortably back for 2 to Cooch. Take the score down to 196. Where were we? I think we covered Hastings, we covered Seaford. Yeah, so Murray-Duck 4 for 111. Doesn't say how many overs. But they're playing somebody, so we'll find out soon. As Cooch just pokes it out to backward point there for no run. More coming in, right arm over from the bush end to Coots. And it's clipped down a fine leg, a bit of an inside edge onto his pad. And it's 1 to Coots. 197 the score. Moore now has 10 overs, 1 for 28. Fisk taking the ball again to come in from the clubhouse end. He's just going back to his run up. The batsmen have a bit of a chat. Probably discussing the weather, how beautiful it is out here. Let's not waste it. Chance for a bit of a suntan at the same time. Fisk coming in, left arm over the wicket from the clubhouse end to Coots, who plays and misses. Kept a bit low. Fisk now into his 11th over. Doing a fine job.
Lively bowler, yeah. Before tee, you could see he brought a bit of energy into the game.
Yeah. I've got to give it up on him. He comes in left arm over. Cooch drives out the backward point. A possible single. Brown had no interest in it. So Mel was pushed back. Fisk at the top of his run-up comes in, about a 12-pace run-up. Lets it go. Cooch just pokes it out to the short cover region for no run. Where the runs were flowing quite freely early, then they sort of picked up when Wallace was in. They're sort of more sedate at the moment. Good bowling. Fisk comes in, left arm over the wicket. Mel's just poked it round a square leg from 1 to the bloke down to sort of a deepish backward square leg. Brings Brown onto strike, takes the score to 198. I think you'll find the first 20 or so minutes will just be a bit of consolidation period here. They realise that they've got a good score up already.
Yeah, wickets in hand for the last 15.
Hour.
Yeah.
Here comes Fisk. Brown starting to look a bit more confident now with what's going on. He's looking a little bit in control.
Yeah, we had one 2020 against Flinders, down at Flinders Thursday before last. One of the more entertaining games I've come across. Yeah.
It's a good run scoring ground, Flinders.
Flinders made 165 off 20, and we ended up 4 runs short. But if you had gone down, the people that were watching said anyone that went down there would have been surprised that country cricket is so alive and well, because Darryl made 87 off about 38. And they had Tommy Clements and I think their captain coach is Belfer from...
Neil Barfus.
Neil Barfus, yeah. They batted really well. It was a run feast.
Yeah, well, when you're travelling about 8 plus and over.
Yeah.
But it's a nice run scoring ground down there at Flinders.
Yeah.
That's the end of Fisk's 11th over. He's now got 1 for 28. He's keeping things very tight. Moore's coming back in for his 11th over now. Coots is on strike, just changing the field a little bit. Sort of a deepish second slip, you might say, has gone in. What we've got, as I said, a bit of a deepish second slip, deepish gully sort of a backward point, sort of cover point, short cover, mid off. We've got a mid on, mid wicket, and a forward square. Mel's chanced his arm, and he's hit it high over the mid off fielder for 4 runs, just to break the shackles a little. I think Mel decided he had enough of this, and that brings up the 200 for Balnarring.
See you when, thanks.
More coming in for the bush end again. Right, I'm out. Mel's trying to open the shoulders up a little bit. Yeah. This hits it down to mid-on area just for a 1. Takes the score to 203 for 5. This partnership so far has been worth 18. If these two can get themselves through to about 4:30, it could be very, very interesting, I think. Brown, a tallish bloke with a high back lift. Brings the willow down, shows the, well, I can't really say he shows the makers because he's got no brand on his bat whatsoever. And he shows a pretty broad sort of front of the bat. The tall bloke comes in. There's a bit of a shout, but going down the leg side. Chance of an overthrow, but nobody was interested in running. So the score stays at 203 for 5. Brown takes the 1 pat of the ground, comes up. Drives it down to mid-off. Goes through the legs of the fieldsman there. Bad misfield. Just took the pressure off. Brown gets himself another single. Take the score to 204. That's the end of the over with 6 off. He's now got 1 for 34 more. Mel's already called for a drink. We're about 5 overs after the tea break. Mel's feeling a bit thirsty. I think everybody's sort of sitting back waiting to see what's going to happen with Mr. Brown.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that, isn't it? Just where I was going before, when Greg was here, there's a few people I'd like to thank after this ball.
Yeah, here comes Fisk. Plays it nicely out the forward square leg for no run.
Yeah, when we were talking about the combined effort to get this whole reserve up and running, we went to local businessmen who are in the area.
Yep.
One of them's Peter Feringa, who is the general manager of Hapfilet Australia, which is a German company.
Yep.
And they donated all the kitchen cabinets and
beautiful.
cabinetry right through, which is some $20,000 or $30,000 worth.
Oh, beautiful.
You know, so a few people have said, how did you get this? It's a real combined effort.
Yeah, it doesn't go astray, does it?
No.
In comes Fisk, left arm over, outside the off stump. Brown sort of thought about it and just let it go through.
And I mentioned before, Heather Goddard, really special person, and she really pushed, you know, the Bendigo Bank made quite a considerable donation to the 3 clubs, which, you know, the council give us a shell, we have to fit it out, and it made it a heck of a lot easier to be able to move into a building and not have 10 years of pain ahead of us, you know. So we, between all the extra donations, we basically got $100,000. So
that's excellent.
Makes a world of difference.
So I see you got the FPOS down here. Unfortunately, it's trying to find some connection to it. Brown once again just patched the ball back from Fisk. At the moment, it's very tight bowling from young Fisk here.
Yeah, the other group of people were the 2 presidents of the other clubs, Tanya Shannon of the netball club and Gavin Taylor of the football club. You know, we went through a process for, you know, 6 years together, and it was great to have people that had a combined foresight instead of worrying about, because it's hard, you know, cricket clubs, football clubs, netball clubs, they don't have their own agenda. Put that aside and get something like this. And we were chaired by John Garn, who had a foot in all camps pretty much. So he did a lot of the administration with Byron Douglas initially from the council and Sam Polonides towards the end.
Yep.
And, you know, we all look at each other now and just say, for anyone else out there that want to try to produce something like this, it's get down and dirty, get as many people on board, have a sole focus.
You've just shown it can be done. If you're
can-
prepared to put
that's exactly
the hard
right.
yards in.
That's exactly right.
Well, there's a single off the last ball of that over from Fisk. Brown's back on strike. He's trying hard to get after Moore, but keeps it finding the field at this stage. Yeah, it just goes to show if you're prepared to do the hard graft.
Yeah, and you've
the
got to be
results will
patient.
come.
Patience is the biggest thing. You know, it's not going to happen overnight. You
That's
know?
right. Nothing ever falls in your lap.
No.
In comes Moore from the bush end. It's a bit of an innocuous delivery with an innocuous shot to go with it.
Slower ball, and he was waiting for it to come, I think.
Yeah. At the moment, we're seeing no Calypso cricket. He's been very patient in what he's doing. Right, Moore comes in, right arm over.
Yeah, his timing's all out, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he's sort of struggling with the carpet coming from turf. And you usually find that too. A lot of guys that have played a lot of turf cricket do sort of struggle early on with the carpet. In comes Moore again. Well, he didn't mess about with that one. That one dropped short. That's just gone, I think, just short of the boundary.
Yeah, big boundary down there.
I don't think he even hit it that well, to be honest. It's, sort of,
it's not making it a sweet noise off the bat, is it?
It sounded like a clunk more than anything else.
Yeah, I remember one of the better juniors I've ever seen come through here, Luke Chappell. He played for South Melbourne Casey and came back here to captain and never really took back to the carpet again. Was a fine captain and a fine cricketer, but when he left, you know, 150 odd in a sub-district grand final win, you know, as a 16-year-old.
Yeah, they sort of forget, you know, where they sort of come from sometimes. And there's another boundary hit by Brown. He's starting to get what he wants now. A couple of short balls, been dispatched very nicely.
Yeah, I don't think Ballam short to him to go.
That's not the plan.
No.
So it's 8 off the over now, 1 for 42.
But that'll do him the world of good. He's a ripping guy, actually, and he has been working hard with the bowling machine. It's just going to take, you know, it'll take time.
I think, let's see, we've got a score from Crib Point. They're now 6 for 119 off 56 overs.
Oh, they've consolidated.
They've lost a wicket since
trouble,
tea.
yeah. They were in a bit of trouble early, so that's great.
Yeah.
Crib Point, our big
Neighbours.
local brothers, yeah,
Neighbours.
our provincial brothers.
I think, unfortunately, too, you sort of get a bit of a preconception of what you think the player might be able to do when he does come down.
It was a little bit like that, and he bowls too, but he's had slight back problems, so he had a couple of spells last week, which showed, coming off a short run-up, showed what he can do. Got a couple of wickets.
Looks like we've got to change of bowl. Looks like Plunkett's coming back on. Fisk bowled a very tidy spell from when he came back on. He let loose for 7 overs, but he's now bowled 12 overs, 1 for 29. Fisk, he's getting a rest. Plunkett's coming back on to bowl his, I'd say, offies. Or is he going to bowl? It looks like he's gone back a little bit further. He's going to bowl his medium paces. Looking very determined. It'll be Mel Coots on strike. Face first delivery from Plunkett. Right arm over the wicket. And it's just patted out to a wideish mid-wicket. The job's done. Looks like the elder statesman of the Ballam Park Cricket Club. Mr. Pinky Cooper's coming into these dulcet tones.
It's looking pretty shabby for the old Ballam Park boys.
Yeah.
They've chased a bit of leather, but they pulled it back, didn't they? None for 113.
Yeah, no, it's...
They pulled it back very nicely just before tea, just to get yourselves back into it.
Yep.
I think at this stage, a quick wicket here could put you in a bit of a box seat.
Yeah, well, Mal's a very good cricketer. He's, you know, ex-country week representative. He's He's coached 3 or 4 clubs. I think he had a stint at Tyab, a stint at Somerville,
Yep.
coached Langwarren, and now here. So he's an experienced campaigner, and he'll certainly value his wicket. I think the West Indian has hit a couple of nice shots, but has looked scratchy early.
Mel's just turned it round the corner, coming back for his second. Had a bit of trouble with his bat, trying to lose it at one stage. But he comes back quite comfortably for a 2. Take the score along to 2:15. From this stage here, Picky, what would you sort of be looking at? The score's at 2:15 at the moment.
Jeez, you'd be looking 350 plus if they keep their wickets together.
Yeah.
At least.
You'd be thinking, if we can get through to the happy hour period, 4:30, 4:45.
Without a doubt. Yeah, look, Mal is a really clean hitter. Excuse my ignorance, I don't know the name of the other batsman.
Darryl Brown.
Darryl Brown, yeah, well, he looks like he can hit a good ball.
Yeah.
So if these two bat for another 5 or 6 overs and set themselves...
Yeah, here comes Plunkett.
Yeah, I've been keeping my comments down. I don't want to jinx them.
No, and
every time I say they're looking good, they lose wickets. So,
and that's fair enough. I mean, there's a couple of blokes that haven't been bowled today. 3 guys that haven't been bowled today, which surprises me a little bit, considering the score and how many wickets have fell. But at the end of the day, you pay a guy to coach, and that's his job.
That's his job. Yeah.
And you live and die by your decisions that you make, don't you? So
that's it.
Yeah, well, before tea, the spells were long, but they paid dividends with those last 10 overs, so...
Yeah.
Well, it looks like there's a change of bowling coming on.
Now, this is Jason Riley, and he's one of the guys. Now, Jason generally bowls a really good tight line and length. He's stump to stump. He's not quick, but he does bowl seam up, so there's a chance of a bit of sideward movement. And when generally, again, like you say, I don't want to jinx it, but generally he's a sort of a 2 for 20 off 10 type of bowler.
Yep.
But he's bowling against a couple of blokes that hit a very clean ball. So,
well, it's actually a good change with these two because they are attacking batsmen. So if you can pin them down a little bit, make them play the ball and defend.
Yeah,
pressure brings wickets, doesn't it?
Well, and that's Jason. That's what you'd expect from him. Is to just bowl that tight line, but there you go. He bowls full, gets hit. And that's the second 6 for the day, if I'm right.
He's a strong man. He didn't seem to hit that too hard either.
No, the first ball was sort of just up there, and he just sort of quite happily patted it back. Second ball was in the same spot. You thought, well, I've had enough of this. Yeah. It just went straight down the ground, which has now got a fieldsman sitting just under the Coolabah tree there.
That's the coach. The captain coach.
Yeah, he's gone down to try and find a bit of shade, I think. In fact, he's found it. He's very nicely camped under there. Now, if we just get him to walk back on the ground, we'll be happy. In comes Riley. And there he goes again through the covers. I think he's decided I'm happy now.
It's the pace, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just a little bit slower.
Yeah.
So you've got to be tighter.
If he's that touch short, he's going to go.
Yeah. Well, they've got a good understanding there with David Cross, who's an ex-Franks and East player, played up at Moorabbin, and he came back to the club a couple of seasons ago. So if Plunks goes to the boundary, then Crossy looks after the fielding.
Yeah, that's
from internal.
Yeah, I noticed that last year umpiring when I did that.
Yeah.
If one was out, the other one was looking after the idiot.
Mentally give Plunkett a spell too because he's bowling a lot of overs. So
in comes Riley again. A little bit full on the leg size, just gently tucked around the corner of the forward square leg there. So he'd be pretty happy after going for 6 and a 4 to have a maiden delivery in there.
Yes.
Just to break up the monotony of it. As he comes in right arm over the wicket from the bush end. Driven down the ground, straight to mid-off for no run. I think Brown will be calling on his experience here. He says, I don't have to hit every ball. I just pick me right one, pick the mark, and just be smart about it.
Tend to find a bowler that you're comfortable with as well. You know, but certain batsmen bat well against certain bowlers, and I think he's a little bit older, and so therefore maybe that little less pace, not rush through the shots.
Yeah, well, I always found my father always told me that if you find a bowler you like, don't hit him out of your attack. Just take enough off him and make sure you play and miss one.
Yeah, we played her. I know when I get on, I tell a lot of old stories, but we played against Baden Powell at Frank Street one day, back in the late 80s, Franks and East days, yeah. And we had a bloke called Mal Wade, who was a very good batsman, and he hit the spin bowler from Baden Powell for 5 sixes in a row. And on the 6th ball of the over, he blocked it, and the call was, that'll get him another over.
Yeah.
So I know where you're coming from with that statement. Don't take too many.
The old man said, don't be too greedy.
That's it.
Spread your dinner out.
That's it. Exactly right.
Here comes Plunkett from the clubhouse end. Cooch just punches it out to sort of a whitish mid-wicket area there for no run.
So what do you guys, you've asked my opinion, what do you guys see as the score?
Well, sensible batting, I'm seeing 320 plus. And with more deliveries like that, it could be 350 plus. Mel's punched it out there. I don't know if he's got enough grunt there because the Cooch is pretty thick. They're coming back for one of the laziest threes I've seen. It's been trotted through very nicely.
You know, I remember playing the first warm day of a season always feels like it's 30. It might be
Most
25 and sunny, but that first warm day, it's draining.
I think the fact too, there's no wind around, and you look up in the sky, there's not a cloud to be seen to hide under.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It might as well be, you know, just raise the temperature a bit.
Well, Plunkett's found the only bit of shade.
Yeah. Plunkett's coming in to Brown. He's just rocked on his back foot, a la West Indian style, whipped it out through the mid-wicket area, across the sandy track there. The young fieldsman picked it up, and it's once again another lazy 2 after a very lazy 3.
You would think if the boys were running hard, the score could be even worse. They're ambling, aren't they, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I think they're just pacing themselves for their age.
Yes,
Wait for age, you might
fair
say.
call, fair call. You almost, when you see this gentleman batting, you almost feel a bit excited about what might happen, don't
Yeah,
you?
Plunkett comes in. And, young fella, just watch yourself there, okay?
Keep it going, boys, keep it going.
You might destroy the whole radio station.
Just don't bite the electrical cord.
Yeah, you just sort of get the opinion he's just going to bide his time, pick the right one.
Yeah. He's respectful. You know, he's not cavalier, is he? He's respectful.
I think he's just aiming to have time in the middle.
Yes.
You know, he needs the experience of the synthetic to basically change his game, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think he's waiting for the 5 o'clock call, I think. In comes Plunkett, right arm over. That's hit through mid-off. Who's slid, stopped it, half stopped it, got it, kept it to 1.
But you were talking about the score before. 300 on the board, or 280, 300, no matter what happens, is runs on the board and it's a good score.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
You don't like to be too greedy.
Well, the scores, what have we got the score at the moment?
Well, we've got the score at 233.
And how many overs to go?
That'll have to do a quick
That's
count.
all right,
But
yeah.
we've got, let's see, we've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 53, 54, 56, 58, about 60.
So 60 bowled, 20 to go. You get 5 and over in the last.
100.
So you're going to be 300 plus, and that's not allowing for explosion of runs late.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought 350.
Yeah.
You know, without them losing the next 5 wickets very quickly, 350 is very gettable.
Yeah, well, I think they can even afford just to go 3 and over or 2 and over for the next 5 overs. And
Yes, spot on.
I mean, it had that feeling the last 5 overs.
Yeah.
That's what they were doing. Darrell's waiting for his ball, and if it's a bit short, I think the clips I feel he's just got to hit it.
I think the worst thing that you can do in any grade of cricket,
there's
like
that.
that.
I was just about to mention there's a massive gap out
mid-wicket,
at mid-wicket.
yeah.
Another 4 to Brown.
That's the worst thing you can do in cricket when you've got wickets in the sheds, is start saying, 20 overs to go, you can start having a swing because you lose 5 for 5.
You
That's
don't
right,
need to.
yeah.
So you wait for the last 5 overs. Or 8 overs before
yep.
you really need to swing.
8 if you got 4 or 5 in
Yeah.
hand.
You've been around this cricket a long time, Picky,
Yeah.
as we all have.
Yeah.
That's a left-hander shot in it.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. He just picked that up very nicely.
It doesn't matter which left-hander you are. It could be the smallest bloke, the biggest bloke. That area out there at mid-wicket, that's just money for jam for left-handers.
It is commonly called cow corner.
Yeah.
But that was still a quality shot to that part of the ground.
That's driven through the offside magnificently by Brown.
Bad fielding though, mate.
Look like Fisk is sort of suffering from his overs.
No, that's
it's
not.
Fisk.
That's Taylor.
That's Taylor. Well, he's suffering for a little bit because he didn't quite bend himself over a bit.
Yeah, that's young Taylor McMillan, and that won't please the coach at all. Fielding is something he works hard on.
A little more, it won't please the bowler either.
No.
Who's struggling to get his line and length happy.
Yep.
Comes in, and Brown just doing the right thing, just pats it over.
Well, that made a bad throw look good, didn't it, fellas? Because it hit the batsman in the pads and bounced on. So, yeah, that you would hate. I've played with David Cross as a captain coach, David Cross, and he was one of 2 players that you'd occasionally get a 5-run because they'd had a single and you'd throw it for throw it and miss the stumps and go for 4. And I used to hate that. So Crossy's got to learn. There's no chance for a run out there, so just hold the pill. He's 38 now, so he should know.
I remember we had a young kid down at Moorabbin. I used to play in the under-16s with him. I'd got a single and finished up being a 7.
Yeah,
He threw it straight over the boundary. He threw it from one side of the ground to the other, and I'll tell you what, he cleared the fence by about 15 metres, I reckon.
Yes, there's, you know, I know there's exuberance and all that sort of thing. Now, I think we've got a bowling change, and this is Jack Richards. And Jack is an under-16s player.
Fantastic.
Certainly showed some ability. It's just whether he can hold his nerve. He bowls some really good balls, but he's still a bit of a nervous starter. So he's got to try and be full because he moves around. He moves the ball around a little bit.
We were talking before that for these young guys to be in, you know, with men and feel the pressure. It's a learning curve. It's absolutely fantastic to see them.
Actually, I've been really impressed with just let this delivery go from Richards. The first one's up. Cooch just takes a lot. One of Mel's quicker singles, we might say, down to mid-on for 1 to take the score to 242. One thing I've been impressed so far with the commentary this year, just watching all the games, is the amount of young fellas that are getting a crack at playing in first 11 cricket. Now, like you go down to the Pines, and they're all pretty much under the age of 23, except for a couple. And BALLAM Park was another one with a lot of young kids, and Heather Hill.
It's funny you mention that because I played at Frankston East, and most of our best cricketers started playing at 16.
Yeah.
So, and I say this to the young guys, anyone worth their salt should be playing at about 16, 17 that are going to have a long career at first 11 cricket. And it's a matter, as Richards comes into bowl again, just off the hip there for no run. Oh, could be a single. That's Taylor again. He's not going to be happy. It's a matter of feeling like you belong. So that every batsman's one score away from feeling like they're good enough.
I think with the young kids too, you just can't throw them up there for 1 or 2 games. You've got to give them a 3 or 4 or 5 game period and say, right, look, we're going to give you time to settle in, find your feet. If you can't do that after 5 games, well, then we'll
drop you back.
Drop you back to the 2s to get some confidence again.
Yeah.
In comes Richard again, and Mal gives him the due respect. And it's just tapped on by Crossy, thinking he's playing handball.
Yeah, for them to get the